Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on a 1999 Yamaha R1. The issue with this motorcycle is that the front right fork seal is leaking. So let's get right into it. But before that, here's a couple revs. So you need a few hand tools. You know, a power drill definitely makes the job go a lot more smoother on you. You don't beat your hands up as bad. And you know, so a few things you're also going to need. You're going to need a rear stand and a front stand. That way you can support the bike to allow you to remove the wheel and the fork tube to service it. So, but before we take the front end up, we're going to start taking some parts off here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the front fender here. Well, how we're going to do that with a Phillips and a 10. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do, take these Phillips out. Number 2 works just fine. Take those out. And you also have a number 10 right here. But you're going to need a wrench to reach behind this and hold it. This is your brake hose bracket that mounts to the fork. Take that off. Peel this out of the way. I'm going to just thread this back on there. Leave it there. Now, to turn this side, so we're not jumping back and forth, we're going to take these two out, which mount the caliper to the fork. All you need is a 12mm. I'm just break them loose. It's about 30 foot-pounds, not a lot. Then I'm going to zip them out with the gun. Now I just have my rims powder coated, so I want to be pretty careful with this and probably tie this up out of the way. I don't like scratches. But man, does it come close. Now I have to figure out how to tie that up out of the way. But all you do is the same on the other side. Remember, get you a magnetic disc. That way your stuff's not laying around all over the place. Alright, where's my Phillips? Alright, pop these babies out here. Pretty simple. I'm going to take this number 10 out, and then we should slip this baby right off there. Number 10 wrench, hold it on the back side. Come on, baby, don't get out on me. Okay, fender loose. I'm going to take this, peel this back, thread that back on so I don't lose it. No, this all just lift up right out of there. Just like that. Again, while we're on this side, I'm going to take these two 12mm caliber mounting bolts off. Again, they're only about 30 foot-pounds. They pop right off. And I'm going to get a big breaker bar out or nothing. And I broke that loose. I'm just going to zip them out with the gun. be mindful, this may fall back. Nice and easy. Alright guys, so before we take this off the ground, we're going to break this axle nut loose. And to do that, it's pretty simple. You're going to come on this side here, and a 6mm Allen. To break loose the pinch bolt. Just break it loose, you don't have to take it completely out. They call it a pinch bolt for a reason. Alright, now this is a 19mm hex. You may need a breaker bar. Just like that. Alright. Now we can take her up off the ground. Guys, that's with the stand underneath of her. Now you can see the reason I want to take all that stuff off before you put the stand up, because as you can see, you know, the stand's in the way. Just remember, when you guys go to put this triple tree stand in, watch out for your brake lines up in there. You don't want to ruin those. Alright, let's get this wheel off. Okay, it's loose. You guys are wondering, this is a Craftsman's 5/8 spark plug socket that I custom made just for this job. I took a 3/8 extension, pounded it in there, welded it on, and then what you know, it's a 19mm hex that fits right in that axle. Perfect. Again, you're going to support this as you're sliding this out. Just like that. So, with that said, we're going to crack this loose here. That's a 6mm Allen. That should be plenty. And there is a pinch bolt under here, down under here, that clamps the handlebar on, right there. Oh man, you can't beat that. So you got two down here. Oh, yeah, make sure you're in there. Now with that said, I think we're pretty close to this baby slipping out of there. That loose, that bolt's loose, these two. I don't know, let's give her a tug, see what happens. There she comes. Pay attention down here, you don't want to hit the floor with the fork. You know what? Let me grab Grandma's old pillow here. Perfect. just like that. See that? So, we're gonna get her fixed. So I just want to share this with everybody. This is the service manual for this 99, I think it's a 98 through a 99 Yamaha R1. So I just want to share this with you guys so you guys can refer back to this if you don't understand something or you need to know a torque value. So it's good to have this information. You know, like this guy here, they call it a cap bolt. To me, looks like a big nut. So, you know, how they come up with these names, I couldn't tell you, but that's what it is considered. So, you know, you got your inner tube, your outer tube. And of course, the way, you know, your washer, the sill, the spring, and then I think they call it the dust cover. Let's see what they call that. Yeah, dust sill. So, good information to have. It goes into how we're removing the forks, like how we loosen the upper bracket pinch bolt, the cap bolt, because you want to loosen that while it's in the bike. Not how I did it on the stand and the clamp. It's so much easier if you just do it on the bike. And when you go put it back together, also you want to tighten it on the motorcycle. It just makes it a lot more easier. And also, if you guys want that spring compressor, here's your part number right down here. Not sure what they cost, but I'm sure every bit of $100. So basically, this is all the removal, disassembly, and then reassembly, and then reinstall it back into the motorcycle. How to check it, you know, check the O-ring on the cap. Mine was okay, so, you know, it got reused. And then here's the recommended lubricant. Shock oil. You know, how to install the sill. Something I didn't do, which they show you here, is to install some type of, you know, maybe a plastic bag to help the sill slide over it without tearing it. I was okay though, so I didn't need to, but just a good tip to know. And also, I don't think I pointed out it in the video, you want to lubricate the lips of the sill, like right here. Before installing the oil sill, lubricate the lips with lithium soap based grease. That just allows it to slide on with, you know, least amount of resistance. And the rod puller, that's that sleeve I used, you know, to substitute for that, and I got it to work. Because as you compress that spring down, you have to be able to go down into that inner tube and fish the rod out. That way you can screw the cap bolt back on. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. And of course, setting your fork, not your fork, your fork oil level. Basically, how it wants you to move the rod up and down to get any air out as you're filling it with oil. And then, of course, 7/8 mil from the top, as they're showing you here. And that's the top of the outer tube, not the inner tube, the outer tube. So pay attention to that. You know, it just goes on and on. Pretty much where to locate how many threads down for that lock nut that goes up against that cap bolt. Right here it's saying 11 mil. I didn't point that out either in the video, but I'm telling you now. And then, you know, install the fork like we did in the video. You know, tighten lower, handlebar pinch bolt, the cap bolt, and then the upper bracket. And that's it. Just wanted to share that, make your guys' life a little easier. So I just want to show you guys before we get on with the video. So, because you can't see it as I'm doing it, but as we're compressing this part, you know, number 3, which is the, I call that the spacer. I have a screwdriver down where the axle would go through, right? And then the ratchet straps on either side that goes up to that special tool that's gonna you know, hook onto the spacer. And then as you're tightening the straps, it's compressing it, exposing this nut. Okay, exposing that nut. And then, you know, once you know, loosen your cap here, there's nothing that is holding your inner fork now. As soon as you take that off, that can fall right out the bottom. So I just wanted to point that out.
So, you got here on the bench. Now, if you have some, you know, something to lay this on, like some old carpet or, you know, an old towel would work. That way you don't scratch nothing. I'm just going to clean this real quick. This is just some good old, simple green. This thing wipe down. Perfect. Now, some of this takes a little bit more to get it off. That don't work. Some good old kerosene. Put it in the clamp. Here's the clamp.
Alright, got started. Now, I'm pretty drill your holes. So I just tried. You'll just break the freaking the screws. You'll just twist them right off. Now guys, you can do this in a vise, but the vise I got, I think, would do more bad than good. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. I want wood chips everywhere. But again, this ain't a perfect roll. Yeah, truthfully, now I have that held, I just use a rivet clamp. Should probably did this to begin with. Just tighten my screws. Oh yeah, that's the way to do that, guys. You put a couple screws maybe to hold it. Get you a big clamp. This is an 8-inch clamp, Bart. It's been a long time since I did it. So I'm gonna grab the manual real quick just to see what it says. Remove cap bolt number 1, which is this whole piece. What they're calling the cap bolt. Yeah, I remember doing this. It wasn't fun. And it is a number 30. Not number 30, a 30 millimeter. You guys know what I meant. There we go. This is swift kick. What I'm doing is I'm pushing up on the bottom fork. If I remember, I have to fight this. This has to go down. And this is where the special tool, the spring compressor, comes into play. So a 2-inch, I believe, will work. It's going to be a little bit more sturdier, it'll be closer. This will make sure there's no pipe going to fall in there from the threads. And these bolts have a rounded edge on them. Or a rounded end, I should say. Which fits perfect in that. Okay, attempt number 3. So I had to locate the top of this down so that way the top of this is about flush with this. Because as you pull this down, it will expose the cap bolt nut, which will allow this to pull off. This all over again. I could say that was simple, but it was not. Alright, so let's get this out of the clamp. And that way we can dump the fork oil out and go from there. Alright, so I got out of the clamp. You be careful, if you're not holding this right, this will fall out the bottom now. It means you got the cap off. So let's dump this oil out. Most of it already came out. Like I said, this thing's been leaking for some time, so, you know, a lot of oil, not a lot of it, but some of it, there we go. Also, when you drain this, Yamaha in the book wants you to pump this rod. Oh, there's a washer in here, forgot to mention that, right here. Boy, look at that. Boy, that's some good looking oil in there. But I'm cleaning everything, put it back together. Okay, and clean this up, you want to look at this real close. You know, you have scoring, especially you guys riding those wheelies, it's slamming the front end down. So there's very slight scoring there. I don't know if that's the cause of the seal going bad. I can feel it with my finger, so more than likely, yes. So that's not good. But I'm going to clean this thing up the best I can and cross my fingers. Scotch-Brite pad. And you just take that and kind of polish that out best you can. And then we're ready to start putting this thing back together. Now, Yamaha goes into removing the dampener rod. By doing that, there's a Allen under here you remove, and you pull the whole assembly out and inspect. I'm not going to do that, I'm just replacing the seal. So, let's get to it. So what they want you to do is picture in your mind the way this thing sits. You're going to start loading this on your fork here, your fork tube. So the dust seal goes on first. Just like that. Remember, have this all clean before you start doing this. The seal, remember the lips down. Just like that. Then your spring clip. Then of course, don't forget your washer. Just like this. Alright. We're start putting this thing back together. Okay, now we're ready to start install the outer housing over top. Then from here we have to drive it in with the driver. And here's one I have, Motion Pro. Part number's right there. 08049. No, I'm sorry, part number's up here. 158490. And it's pretty much just I guess you can consider a clamshell looking thing. Basically just fits around this tube here perfect, like so. And then you lock it together by spinning these blue things. There we go. Okay. And this fits perfect in there. Basically use it as a slide hammer. here. Now I'm gonna lay this up on the bench, get it down to where you see the snap ring groove, and I'm there already. Like I said, doesn't take much. And it's down. Drop your clip on. That sucker there, I can just push out my fingers. And we'll seat it with a screwdriver. Oh, that nice audible click is what we want to hear. And then slide your dust seal down. Fork oil. Now this is without your spring in there. Don't put your spring in yet. And Yamaha, of course, their oil that they want you to use is, you know, their brand. It says it's an 01 or equivalent, and what I have here is SAE 10 weight. No tool. Pretty good stuff. We're gonna fill this up, and then we're gonna reach in here with a pair of pliers. We're gonna stroke the rod assembly. That way it bleeds all the air out. That way our oil level will be correct. Sounds pretty good. I'm not hearing any air anymore. And then to fill it to the right level, we want 78 millimeters from the top of the tube, or the outer tube. I'm sorry, not the inner tube, the outer tube. Alright guys, so once you fill this up, you can go buy your special tool. But all I do is mark 78 millimeters. And remember to pick up on the body of your inner fork as you're measuring across the top here to the top of the oil. And that's how you do it. Okay, as the fluid level is set, slip your spring back in. Now, I made a little tool. Shouldn't have did that, I wasn't very smart. Slip that a little bit more in there. I made a tool to grab the rod. Like a fry with some spilt milk. There we go. Well, this I can reach in here and grab this. And pull the rod up. So don't ask me how I did it, but I was able to get it back down. I took a pair of these double jointed pliers and a sleeve. I just put the pliers with this on the end of the sleeve. I pushed down on the threads. And I was able just to pull it right up out of there. Now I'm ready to put the cap back on. Okay. Grab your 14 and 19. Just gonna snug it up. Perfect. Now release back down into there, and we're gonna release these. Perfect. Nobody hurt? All good. And now I can release the wire. Let that drop. Then my 32, or no, I'm sorry, 30. Backspin this. So here it dropped what you did. Tighten cat bolt temporarily. Cat bolt is 0.3 Newton meters. Lift that up. And then you have to torque it on the bike. And the book, it tells you to tighten it temporarily. Yeah, I'm just going to do it on the bike because it's spinning here too much. Alright, so we're ready to put the fork back in. What you're going to do is grab your micrometer or tape measure will work. You want to measure the right side and how much it sticks above your top triple clamp. Mine's about 13 millimeters, so that's where I'm going to put the one we put the fork seal on. Of course, this rotates, but you want to get close to the right orientation before you slip that in there. And we sort of have a tool handy to tighten the pinch bolt. Alright, here we go. Then you're on measure, like I said, from the top of the cat bolt. Okay, 13 mil. Hold it in place and tighten. This fork here, you can't get to it with the front fender installed. So I'm going to do that real quick. Tighten a lower bracket pinch bolt at 23 Newton meters or 17 foot-pounds. Then the handlebar. Son of a bitch! Okay, here we go again. So, apologize for the background noise due to the fan, but you know, we are in Florida after all. Something we gotta deal with. Okay, so we're gonna tighten pinch bolts. I just kinda snug them up loosely. So, trying to get a good shot here. But those two down there, Yamaha wants us to tighten those first. And then the handlebar pinch bolt, which is hiding under here. So again, the lower bracket pinch bolt, 23 Newton meters or 17 foot-pounds. Tight enough to me, but that's what they recommend. Perfect. I'm going to hit the other one again, just to be sure. See it. because this is clamping down and settling. Honestly, I'll take it for a ride and come back and check it. Okay, now for the handlebar. Now this is only 4 to 12 foot-pounds. Okay, so where we're at now, we're ready to tighten this cap bolt. Yamaha wants us to tighten the lower clamp pinch bolts first. We did. We tightened the handlebar pinch bolt. Now we are ready to tighten this. This is 23 newton meters or 17 foot-pounds. Just like that. That's it. Now we're gonna go and tighten the handlebar. Remember, it's a 6 mil, and you gotta use an extension with the socket I have to get it to fit. And that, my friends, is also 17 foot-pounds. Reach right across here. Yep. Alright. Now we're ready to install the wheel. Now Yamaha wants you to clean your axle off and lube it. But they also want you to put a little bit of white lithium soap-based grease on the lip sills. Also, don't forget these. You forget these, you'll be buying wheel bearings. You'll tighten that axle bolt down and you'll just smash the bearings. So, don't forget those. And also, make sure the wheel goes back on the right direction. We're going to tighten, start this in. Always go backwards so you feel it drop in. Alright, I heard it and you do feel it. Okay. And the manual calls for 53 foot-pounds. Okay, 53 foot-pounds. And don't forget the pinch bolt. Perfect. Okay. Now we can start putting the brakes on. Alright, so before you slap your brake pads on, or your calipers, make sure you don't get any grease or anything on your rotors. I'm just going to check those real quick. See? That's just mainly brake dust. You just want to be sure. This is how I tied up the brake calipers. Pretty simple. Just an insulated copper wire, made a hook and then hooked it on the ply there. Shouldn't hurt nothing. I'll grab it here and support it. You just pick up just like this. Now you'll come under here. Make sure you don't catch your brake lines coming out. Just like that. I start putting the brakes on. I think when you put the fender on first. Yeah. Put it back on. Right to the front. Have to squeeze it in, bend a little bit. Of course, get them all started before you start slamming them on there. You'll never get them all in if you tighten it down. The goal is get your hand in behind this, guide it in. Pretty tight fit. There we go. Make sure your bolts are clean. On her. Perfect. This one here. Just like so. Okay. Now I'm going to put the front stand back in. I'm going to show you why. I tighten the front caliper down. This is what I like to do. I like to spin it. I like to spin it and squeeze the brakes. And then I'll tighten. Caliper mounting bolts to 30 foot-pounds. So I want to also add, anytime you have your brake calipers off, you've got to pump your brakes before you take this thing out for a cruise. So what I mean is, after you have everything installed, you're going to come up here and you're going to pump your brakes. And it's going to go down a few times, but it'll eventually harden up again. I don't know how many times I've made that mistake and I come to the first stop sign and say, oh shit, I do not have any brakes. So just words for the wise. Now she's back together. Pretty simple job. I would say it is hard to compress that spring inside the fork without the special tool. But, you know, with a couple self-made tools, you're able to get it done. Now, you could go buy those tools and it'll probably make your job easier, but, you know, you're going to buy these tools, use them once, and throw them in the drawer and forget about them. So, I try and make things work. You know, this time around I did struggle a little bit. But, again, here it is, put back together. And next video will be a test drive. So, thank you guys for watching. And here's a beautiful shot of outside in Florida.